Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by SurveyMonkey. Go to try.surveymonkey.com/twist and sign up for a free trial. And MailChimp. Manage lists with up to 2,000 subscribers and send 12,000 emails per month for free with MailChimp.
Today on This Week in Startups, Shervin Pishevar is here finally in studio. You know him as the crazy venture capitalist, angel investor, world traveler, just amazing entrepreneur. I'm so thrilled to have him here in studio. And Tyler is so inspired, he told us he's guaranteeing an amazing insight. All that and more right now on This Week in Startups.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Welcome everybody, welcome everybody. I am so thrilled because I downloaded the new path and I'm playing with the new path and I was like, wow, this is automatically telling me like I'm awake and I'm in this neighborhood, I'm in that neighborhood, and I see my good friend Shervin is at LAX. This is what was the promise of social media, was this serendipity. And I said, oh my God, he's there, he's at Ashton Kutcher's place, he's at this place. I said, come by the studio, let's tape an episode. Sure enough, you're here.
I'm here.
Welcome.
I'm happy to be here, man. I miss you.
I miss you too. So we have so much to talk about, but we have a long-standing relationship.
Yeah.
You participated in the TechCrunch 50 conference back in the day, launched product there. Then you went on to angel investing. We've angel invested in things together. Yeah. Now you're a venture capitalist, and you're also just this crazy world traveler. What an amazing life you have. How do you describe your life at this point? What is it you do?
Well, I mean, first off, I'm a managing director at Menlo Ventures. So I invest in great entrepreneurs and who want to change the world. And that's like, it's the best job in the world. I'm really, really happy. And feels like, you feel like Santa Claus.
Right? You've been given a huge bag of money to help people make their dreams come true.
Make their dreams come true. And that's like, that's my dream job. And so I just, I have to pinch myself. I'm very, very blessed and have amazing friends like you that, we all all believe in the same things about, that many, many, many people can be entrepreneurs, can pursue their dreams, transform their lives. And this trend is starting all over the world. I mean, entrepreneurship, like we said, like Silicon Valley isn't a physical place. Yeah. It's an idea and it's spreading virally.
State of mind.
Yeah, it's a state of mind, exactly.
And you went to the Middle East recently. I was watching on Facebook. Yeah. And all of a sudden I see you and some celebrity. Mm-hmm. Who was it? Sean Penn. Mm-hmm. You and Sean Penn in Egypt. Yeah. What the hell are you doing in Egypt? I mean, it's dangerous there still, right? I mean, they had Arab Spring. They got rid of Mubarak. Yeah. I got to keep the dictators' names. There's so many of these scumbags are been knocked
we're
out.
getting rid of them one by one.
Do we not live in the most amazing moment in time in history, do you think? I mean, it's amazing, the change.
We are living in, I think, a transitional period in human history that we're truly blessed to be in. And the thing that, I think about is that there's a combination of two things. One is that people have lost their fear. And this was something I realized when I was in Libya. It was like, it became very clear for me. And it was a moment when I was meeting one of these freedom fighters who was, a young guy who was trying to get rid of Gaddafi, which they ultimately succeeded like 2 weeks after I left. And the thing that I realized, and I wrote this in Revolution 2.0, was that fear is finite and hope is infinite. And once you lose fear, and this applies to everything in life, entrepreneurship is about overcoming fear and facing death in the face many times and never giving up. And so, but that's what's happening, is that in this period in time, people are armed now with this little thing. And this is capturing the smartphone, the mobile phone, and social networking technology and mobile combined is way more powerful than bullets, guns, tanks, planes. This is an eyewitness to history that, people can't, if Tiananmen Square had happened now, it would have been a very different result. We would have seen what happened that night.
Right.
And
instead of on a fax machine 3 days later.
Right, exactly.
Or a couple of photos that were snuck out of Beijing.
Right, right.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, the host of This Week in Startups, the award-winning, huge program that everybody is talking about, and I want to tell you today about a product I've been using for 2 years. It's called SurveyMonkey. It is a great way to create surveys. With me is Carolyn, who is the executive, no, what are you? You're a producer.
Just a producer.
Just a producer.
Yeah.
That's all, you're a producer of This Week in Startups. Your job is to, on the show,
make you look good.
book guests.
Oh yes, book guests.
Do research.
Correct. Pre-interview people.
Pre-interview people, and sometimes I ask you to create surveys. And the tool we use is SurveyMonkey. So I wanted to show people just how easy it was to create a survey. We had done a survey on who do you most want to see on the program, etc.
Correct.
But why don't we pull up your screen and have you start building a survey with SurveyMonkey, so you can, everybody in the audience can see exactly how easy this is. So here's your screen.
So this is the main dashboard. You can see on the left column here all the surveys we've created in the past.
Beautiful.
To start a new one click, create survey.
Sure.
Give it a title.
Okay.
TWiST survey.
TWiST survey, This Week in Startup survey.
Yeah, we're going to do a demographic survey, let's say.
Oh, very nice.
And we're going to copy an existing survey. You can do that, or you can use one of their expert templates and have it all built and beautiful.
So they
for
have
you.
templates of,
they do.
Of surveys already. Yep. Okay, so.
We'll copy one of ours.
And this is the design, the look and feel, I guess.
Correct.
Okay, good. We've titled it. Okay, and we're going to continue, I see.
And so since I copied an existing survey, it has the first question, but I can go in here, edit question.
And I wanted to make that a radio box. We can collect multiple ones as opposed to just pick one. So we can change that to a multi-box.
We can.
Perfect. Now people can pick Mark Pincus and Mark Cuban.
Yes.
Great. And I guess you can save that there. Is there anything else we need to see on that screen?
It's really as simple as that.
You can randomize the order, right, too?
You can.
Because that's kind of important, so you don't get like people picking the first one because it's the first one they read.
Right. There's a question randomization or page randomization.
Very cool. So now, and also the response is randomized as well.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I see over there they have a new feature on the top left. What is that?
The question bank. So the question bank is an awesome tool if you aren't quite sure on how you want to word something. This has ideas written by survey experts, so you can make sure you get the most accurate data.
So if I wanted to know like gender or race or where you lived or income, those are like, people have thought about how to ask those questions perfectly.
Exactly.
So I guess if we were doing a survey for advertisers on the This Week in Network, we could click there and find something related to income?
You could.
Okay, let's show me how that works.
There's a market research option. Let's select that. So, this is for products. So let's say demographic.
Demographic,
Let's click demographic. Are you male or female? Which category below includes your age? All worded in a very precise way, so you're making sure you're not swaying the
So you
answers.
could add like 3 or 4 of those maybe?
Yeah.
You just click add and it adds it, that's
it's
it?
as simple as that.
So add a couple more.
All right, so
wow,
let's
so
say...
you don't even have to think of the questions anymore.
No.
When did they add that feature? That's awesome. I didn't even know they had that.
Very new.
Wow. So you can construct a survey with the meticulousness of professional surveyors in seconds.
Absolutely.
Wow, it sounds like a commercial. Okay, you are doing a commercial. But actually, it's a really cool feature. I never really thought about that. So now you've added about 5 or 10 questions there. And how do we get responses?
So whenever you're finished, when you're satisfied with how everything reads, you can preview your survey.
Oh, that's nice.
You
there
can
it is.
see
Oh, and when
exactly.
you pick that design, that had our logo on the top left. So you designed that once.
And then you can copy it across all.
You know what I hate is when you finish the survey and then it dumps you back to a promotion for the company that did it. Now, when you have a pro account, you can send them somewhere else, right?
You can send them to any URL you'd like.
Any URL, or can you send them to the results too? I think you can.
You can display.
You can share the results or not share the results.
Correct.
That's what I like sharing the results because that's like the reward for taking a survey. I hate when people ask me to take a survey and then they don't do it. So there's many more features, but you basically get a URL or you can post it to your Facebook. Tons of different ways to actually collect responses. Too many for us to go through, but there you have it, folks. I mean, you can create a survey in literally seconds to minutes, and you can do it all for, I don't know, it's like $20 a month. It's ridiculously affordable. SurveyMonkey is one of the fine products that I've been using for years, and on This Week in Startups, we only allow people who have products that we actually use and love. Why? I don't want you buying this thing and then telling me you don't like it. I know you're going to love it. It is the best product, value for dollar, pound for pound. It's super affordable, and they keep adding features. You saw that question bank. I never knew that existed. And you know what? You know how much they raised your price for having that and adding that feature? 0. That's the awesomeness of software as a service. It's not like these other programs where you download software and then it crashes your computer. This is all in the cloud. You log in, you use it, and every couple of weeks, every couple of days, every couple of months, new features just blossom and come out of the product. It's an amazing product. Carolyn, thank you for showing it.
Absolutely, thank you.
And thank you for all the hard work on the show, by the way. You've been delightful to work with. You really are. I love when I find like a person like you or Tyler or Kieran. Like, this is my greatest crew. My greatest joy in life is when I find somebody who's just hardworking and gets stuff done.
It's all about having a boss that challenges you.
Really?
It really is.
You should find one. Hey! Am I a challenging boss?
Yes, but in a great way. In a way that makes me want to exceed your very high expectations.
And you've grown so much. You've been here for how long? 6 months?
9.
9 months, wow. It seems like only yesterday when you started. You've done an amazing job. I'm really fond of you and the job you've done. And I'm really fond of SurveyMonkey. And these tools, you know, you have the right tools. Everything gets a little bit easier.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, SurveyMonkey. Thank you, Carolyn. And thank you guys for tuning into This Week in Startups. But how does this relate to entrepreneurship? Because in a way, watching you know, the consummate entrepreneur, being drawn to the Middle East, other ones being drawn, and the Arab Spring, in a way, it felt entrepreneurial to me. Was I reading into that and projecting, or was it an entrepreneurial movement? Occupy Wall Street feels like entrepreneurship in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I reading into that, or is that what's happening?
I think in the abstract sense, you are right. And the world is a startup, and everything is starting up anew. That, you know, many of the institutions of our you know, of the civilization that we currently know and live in, many of these institutions that are becoming fundamentally disrupted. And so when you think about it, you know, that means it's an incredible time for entrepreneurship. And the thing that I talk about is that when political freedom comes, it needs to be married with economic freedom.
Right.
So in a place like the Middle East, you want there to be a blossoming of economic opportunity. You want there to be millions of entrepreneurs starting their own businesses. You want to mentor them. You want to, you know, and that's what I was doing in Tunisia, in Algeria, and
in fact, didn't the Arab Spring start because a fruit vendor lost his license?
Yeah,
and
a small business
owner
is the cause of
was
the Arab Spring.
compromised.
Yeah, absolutely. His dream, his life, his livelihood, his ability to put bread on the table for his family was taken away, and for him, that was too much. And
he lit himself on fire.
Yeah, he made the ultimate sacrifice, and that has inspired, you know, millions and millions of people. And when I think about it, I'm like, you know, the first Occupy movement was the American Revolution.
Right.
That was, you know, occupy the colonies, and is what I say. And you know, in the abstract sense, this is what's happening. Is that, you know, and I wrote this actually last year about that social networking technology and mobile is enabling. It's not causing it, but it's enabling for the first time.
Catalyst.
The catalyst in the organization of these movements, both like in Colombia, what we saw against the FARC movement that Jaron Cohen has talked about. And that David Kirkpatrick also wrote about in the Facebook book. So, you know, these are really interesting times, and tied to entrepreneurship, we need to let entrepreneurship blossom. It's good for us. We, as an angel investor and venture capitalists, it's a good thing for the world to have more entrepreneurs.
For you, is entrepreneurship a religion and a faith more than it is a business practice?
It's a movement and a philosophy.
But is it like religious to you and spiritual in a way? Like, do you feel it that deeply that entrepreneurship is in a way what humanity is based on? That is pushing it forward in the way Steve Jobs said, you know, that the crazy ones pushed humanity forward? Are we moving to an era where entrepreneurship is religion?
There is a spirit, for me, there is something deeply beautiful about throwing everything away and saying, you know what, I believe in my idea so much that I'm willing to make every sacrifice to make it happen. There's something spiritual about that. about the fearlessness of that, about the courage that it takes to make that sacrifice.
Christ, Buddha.
Exactly. I mean, I think, you know,
Buddha
that's why
letting
I talk
go
about,
of the 10,000 things, Christ giving up the ultimate sacrifice. I mean, it feels like it's almost a religion now.
Yeah.
And the world's responding to it.
Right.
China, the Middle East, it's becoming the religion of the world, capitalism.
Right. So, you know, at the same time, though, our generation is moved by more than money. And so, you know, I just got back from with Invisible Children in Uganda, and you know, they're fighting Joseph Kony, this, you know, horrible, evil warlord, and you know, and part of what I'm seeing amongst us, because, you know, I gave stock in them. Me and Matt Galligan started 1% of Nothing, which is, you know, to get entrepreneurs to give their stock away when they start the company. It's worth nothing. And Michael Birch named it, which is
1%
of nothing.
Of nothing.
Yeah. When you're starting the company and the stock is worthless, you know, it's, you know, penny stock, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, whatever cause you believe in it, just make it a practice that you almost see the causes that you believe in as your co-founder on your team, right? And so I did that with Invisible Children, with my last company, last two companies now, Webs and SGN.
And SGN, which was a mobile company making the first iPhone games, and obviously the best in the iPhone commercials. Steve Jobs actually putting your game up on the screen, correct?
Yeah.
You gave 1% of that huge windfall to this?
I started doing, I gave them, after I started the company, I gave them a chunk of stock. And a chunk of stock in Webs, and then you know, I took the pledge with one of the startups that I've been incubating, called Halo, to give 1% to Invisible Children again. But over 100 entrepreneurs have taken the pledge now, and which is amazing. And I just had a call with one entrepreneur who's starting a really, really interesting company, and he's taken the pledge as well. So I heard his story. He's a proven entrepreneur, sold a couple companies. So it's pretty awesome. Rick Morini took the pledge for his next company, the founder of Branch Out. So I think, you know, from a movement perspective, what I'm getting at is I think we see entrepreneurship as a way to help and make our world better, to reinvent
do
the
well
world.
And do good.
And do good, yeah.
You don't have to pick.
Yeah, no.
And it's not Gordon Gekko, everything for me, all the money for me, all the riches for me, I'm the 1%.
Yeah.
It's, I want to change the world. I want to build a killer product that delights people, and a byproduct of that might be wealth creation.
Right. Right, and it should be wealth creation, but wealth in every sense of the word, right? Like making our lives wealthier. It doesn't mean you know, it's enriching our lives. It's not about the money itself. It's about the experiences. And one of the things I talk about that's really important for me is that life should be about the collection of experiences, not materials.
Right.
Right. And that, you know, experiences are worth infinitely more than a physical object. And I actually think from an entrepreneurship perspective, there's a lot of really interesting businesses being incubated now around that principle that, you know, people are seeking experiences, they're seeking more meaning.
Right.
You know, whether it's traveling or having an incredible experience together.
Now, having all that amazing experience and working hard through the night, putting in the 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week it takes to be a successful entrepreneur, not always are those two things in sync. Mm-hmm. It does take amazing sacrifice to build these companies, and you go through a lot of despair and hard times. So how do you balance that? Do you just work your ass off for a couple of years and then have the experiences, take a little break, and then go back to the grind? How do you find that balance? Because it's a hyper-competitive market now. You can't just put in a 4-hour Tim Ferriss work week and be Mark Zuckerberg or Dave Morin.
You know, the most enriching experiences sometimes are the most painful experiences. Sometimes when you're in the thick of battle in the arena, it's hard to see that perspective. But the times that I look back on and I say, wow, that was an incredibly transformative experience for me. You know, looking backwards, it's those times that you are sleeping on your table. It's
the
those times
best
that
moments, the best reflections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ramen soup diet is real. Like those moments of, you think about the teams that you work together to create and bring ideas to life together in a startup. The times you work the hardest are the times that you kind of look back on and reminisce and value the most.
You invested in Path?
I'm not an investor in Path.
You're just a super fan.
I'm a fan of Path, the team, of Dave, of Danny, of Dustin, of Matt. All those guys. I think they're an amazing team. So unfortunately, I didn't get to invest early on, but it doesn't matter. Like I don't think anyone should ever only cheerlead companies that they've.
You're a tireless cheerleader for the brand. Now their first product was panned by most folks. Mm-hmm. And now we see a year later, the industry in 48 hours is embracing their 2.0.
Yeah.
Like it's the greatest, like it's a Steve Jobs iPad or iPhone release.
Yeah.
How much better is the second version from the first in your mind?
It's a quantum leap. It's something different. There is the core essence is still there, but what Path 2.0 to me represents is the potential for a mobile social network and what it can mean for people. And so I think
a native mobile social network.
Yeah, something built from the ground up for iOS and for the future. So I think Facebook, the architecture of Facebook, it's absolutely relevant and important, and it's historic, and there's going to be a billion.
It's a juggernaut.
Yeah, but at the same time, there is an opportunity for a startup like Path to define their own path that is different. And
how does a startup go from being panned 12 short months ago, and then have the wherewithal and the resiliency to make it through 12 hard months and then release something so beautiful and epic and innovative?
It takes a special team. They have that. We just had this with a company that Menlo invested in, that we invested in, called Fab.com.
Sure, and Jason's company.
Yeah, Jason Goldberg and Brad.
Social network for gay guys.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
And we invested when they did their pivot. Right. So it was called Fabulous, and it failed. That failed. But they pivoted 5 months ago, and they are, as a site for curating, incredibly designed products, like beautifully designed products.
Like a Guilt Group or a Vent Privé, but for design.
For this, beautifully designed objects and experiences and products, and they have taken off. They're breaking records. I mean, they're making history. They're in the tens of millions of dollars, of revenue, starting from scratch 5 months ago, and in total. So it's
from
amazing.
Failure to amazing success with one small pivot.
One small pivot. Sometimes it takes a big pivot, but it takes a special entrepreneur to be able to do that. To again, like, stare death in the face.
Right.
Almost have your company die.
I'm running out of money.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be part of my social network. A vertical social network for gay guys sounds like an amazing idea.
Right. Or private,
private, whatever. I logged in. I got a lot of interest. It was amazing. But it looked pretty.
Talking about Path.
Okay.
On the other side is the private network.
You have the private network. But anyway, how does an entrepreneur like Jason then have the courage to say, my previous idea is a failure, I'm putting it to bed, I'm putting it to sleep? How does one entrepreneur know to do that and have the wherewithal to do it and others don't? Because you see other ones who will ride the train off the tracks into the ditch in a burning mess.
Well, I think about, probably the person that represents the pinnacle of that is Steve Jobs and what he was able to do, not just with Apple, but with his career. And, I read the book. I couldn't put it down. I finished it in Tunisia. And read it in a week. And he, what's very clear is he went through a period of time when he was thrown out of Apple where he realized that he had done some things wrong, and he did a pivot. He did a life pivot in many ways.
Yeah.
And then came back and pivoted Apple to incredible success. But the commonality between Steve Jobs and what he's doing, what Dave's doing at Path, what Jason did at Fab.com, in these pivots is that they were mindful enough, self-aware enough that they had made mistakes, that some things weren't working, and then put in the hard work of designing something so beautiful that works so well that it then begins to scale to epic proportions. So, and PAF just launched, so we'll see. But I think both of us feel that it has the DNA to scale.
We became friends, and then we connected on Path, and I feel like we became as closer friends on Path than we had, and spent more time together on Path than we had in the real world, in the analog world.
Yeah.
This relationship development, intimacy, connectivity, it's real.
Yeah.
And Path hit on something because you and I, with our kids, felt we could share them there.
Yeah.
But we couldn't share them on Twitter or Facebook.
Right.
I mean, that is the genius of Path.
Right.
Is where Facebook turned the world upside down and said, you're forced, everything's public because we want growth.
Right.
Dave said, F growth. Mm-hmm. Let's go for really deep connection. And I don't think that the public got it.
Yeah.
But when and I think Sean Percival was also putting his kid on there.
Yeah.
And for the early adopters, it was the sharing of your child's life.
Yeah.
And the joy of that really, I think, led us to embrace that brand.
Yeah, and keeping a journal of meaning that you can look back on, right? That kind of timeline of meaning that can be shared together. That's what's brought us closer together. Obviously, life should be about face-to-face interactions that are full of meaning. We've had that. But then when you have the glue of staying in touch for busy people, right? Whether we're in the same family or we're friends and we're like brothers and we're able to share that draws us closer together. And that's, I think, the key insight there with PAF as a private journal.
Yeah.
The most interesting things in life that happen to us, many of those things we can't share on Facebook or Twitter.
Right.
We don't feel comfortable sharing that.
Sure.
And
if you're popping bottles, you're on a private jet, you're with your kids, you're kissing your girlfriend, whatever it is, wife, you can't share that with everybody, but you wouldn't mind sharing it with the 50 or the 150.
Right, with the people. So that I think is a key insight there, and they're going to keep doing that. But I think the new product brings in a lot of features that enrich that experience that's going to draw in more people. So.
Hello, everybody. It's Jason Calacanis, the host of This Week in Startups. One of the great things about having this program is that I get to pick the sponsors, and we only pick the sponsors based upon the products and services that myself or Tyler Crowley, my partner here, use. And one of those products that I use all the time is MailChimp. That's how I send my email newsletter. As you guys know, 2 years ago, I quit blogging, started doing email, and that list grew to over 20,000 members. I needed a way to manage that massive list. I couldn't use this desktop software. I needed software as a service. I got MailChimp. And one of the best features of MailChimp, I have it here on my screen that I'll show you, is I can segment my list. So here's my list. I'm clicking the segment button. And here I get
that interface.
It's just a beautiful interface.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous interface. And I can say, hey, show me all the people who have been added to the list after a specific date. So here I go. I say, hey, I want just the people who have signed up this month. And now I could segment and say, hey, just show me who signed up this month. Hey, here's the 81 people. Now I've got all the 81 people here. I hope, well, I can't show all their emails, but I can just click the Send To button right here. And when I click that Send To button, now I'm just sending to those 81 people. This is called segmenting your list, which is a great thing to do. And you can segment it by location or any information that you collect from users or some information you don't collect. One interesting thing you could do is, and here's a list of all the different ways you can segment. By first name, by last name. I can email all the Tylers on the list, by what company they're at, their job function, what they're interested in, because I ask people what they're interested in. So I could say, hey, if you're only interested in venture capital, I'm only going to email you about that, gender, location. But hey, look at that, CloudScore. Remember we had Joe Marchese from CloudScore, and I could say, give me people who have a CloudScore that is great.
Fernandez, I think you mean?
What's that?
Joe Fernandez?
Who did I say?
Marchese?
Oh, Joe Marchese is another entrepreneur. God, I'm sorry. I'm tired sometimes. It's Joe.
You just came back from New York just for this, huh?
Is it back here? Yeah. So anyway, the cloud score is greater than 20. Boom. Show me the people who are, that's 500 people. That's too much. Let me just make it 30 here. So show me the people who have cloud scores over 30. Boom, here's the 360 people. I can just start emailing to just them. So I could, if I wanted to give a free ticket, I can go all the way up the list. I can say, hey, over 40, over 50, over 70. Who are the really powerful people here on the list? And boy, I got the right people on the list. I don't want to show their emails. But an incredibly powerful tool. Go check it out. The free plan is always free. And this is one of the nice things. They give, if you have a small list, like only 2,000 people or less, and you do under 12,000 emails a month, they do it free. And they just charge you as you go. You get these sort of MailChimp points. And it's just an amazing product. So thank you to them for being a partner on the program. And thank you for your attention to the sponsors. Without them, independent media like this trip to New York, where we shot a bunch of great episodes, would not be possible, or the trips to San Francisco or to London. It costs a lot of money to produce high-quality content like this in HD and do it on a consistent basis. And without partners like MailChimp, we couldn't do it. Thank you, MailChimp. MailChimp.
You got to go back to these.
What was the toughest moment of your career? The moment where you thought, I'm a fraud and I'm a failure and I should pack it up and just go be a VP of nothing at some BDC.
So
big dumb company.
The time when I kind of stared death in the face, it's happened a couple of times, but the one time was when that I kind of think of as the best experience for me that made me stronger was my first startup out of Berkeley. It was called WebOS. And WebOS, Web Operating System.
Yep.
And
what year?
This was like 1998, so 98, 99. And then basically I started with nothing and had to raise money. And I cold called Jamie Dimon, and there's kind of the good story there of kind of calling 411. I read a story about Unfortunate and called 411 in New York. I was like, could I get the number of Jamie Dimon? And he picked up the phone. I was expecting like a secretary, and I was like, oh crap. It's like 20.
Explain who Jamie Dimon is for the audience.
Jamie Dimon is, he helped build Citibank with Sandy Weil, and then was fired by Sandy Weil.
Powerful guy.
Very powerful. He's now the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, one of the most powerful people in the finance world. And he was then too. So
You call him late at night, get him on the phone?
No, just during the day. And
he picks up his phone.
He picked up his phone, and I was like, oh crap. I remember that moment. Like, these
Panic.
moments come in life when you've got to step up to the plate and swing. And I did.
8 Mile. Eminem.
Yeah, exactly. And he liked what I said. I remember I had like 60 seconds to say the right thing, and he liked the vision, invited me to New York. He ended up, angeling. And then I raised $10 million after.
But you had his name.
Yeah, that obviously
critical.
Helps. It's absolutely critical. And but
fast forward.
The sacrifice, yeah, exactly. So the startup, I made a lot of mistakes. I was building for a vision that was 10 years ahead of time. I didn't calibrate it to the market right. And I'd never started a company before. I was a kid, and I was in. I remember, in one of my first angel pitches, somebody asked me when are you going to IPO, and I didn't know what an IPO was. Like I was like, what's an IPO? And the guy still invested in the company, but ultimately, it was just too visionary, too ahead of its time, and I learned to calibrate. But the personal story there was like that didn't work, and so that company failed, and at the same time, personally, I had my first marriage failed, and I had 2 little kids, the kids that you've gotten to know, and my daughter was like 6 months old, and my son was 3, and I ended up like I had full custody of the kids as a single dad. I had Daria and a baby Bjorn with the milk bottle, writing the business plan, and out of business. And starting my second company, and not giving up, but staring a lot of challenges at the same time.
Personal failure with the relationship, gotta be heavy.
Yeah.
Now you gotta be a dad, you gotta raise these kids.
Yeah.
The company's failed, you burned through everybody's money.
Right. And I
And
didn't
somehow,
give up,
with a kid screaming at night, needing the diaper change, you decided you would stay an entrepreneur when you could have went to Yahoo, collected $300 or $400 grand a year as a senior vice president, EVP.
I did not want to give up on my dream of doing it right and starting
Because
something
you did
I could
it wrong.
be proud of. Yeah.
You knew you did it wrong.
Yeah.
And you knew you did the marriage wrong.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's a lot to face in
that
a
was
year.
a lot to face. I was like 26, 27 years old.
But now that you got through that,
Yeah.
does that then make you invincible? Does it then make you feel like, I've been through so much bad stuff that, go ahead, bring it. I'll get through it.
I love you. Yeah, that is, I don't think I'm invincible at that at all. But you get a lot thicker skin. And
Right.
things don't stress you out as much.
You don't worry.
You've been in the arena. You have the right perspective. You had to. It was like
You've gotten
I had
cut.
two little kids' lives in my hand that I had to take care of, and I wasn't going to give up on them. And so I pinch myself now. It's like we're very blessed, all of us, and life is short. And the thing I learned there that I talk about is that surround yourself with value creators, and be very disciplined. Extract all the value extractors.
Yeah.
Get rid of them. Prune them out of your life. Only work with people that are good
the
people.
takers you get rid of,
Yeah.
and the people who add value. And we're not just talking about monetary value,
Yeah.
VC value,
In every way.
but
yeah.
in every way. People who
Right.
have something rich to bring to the table.
Right.
A
Absolutely.
conversation, a meal to share, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
Absolutely.
You are relentlessly positive. It's almost, in a way, your brand.
We were just talking about this 2 hours ago before you were showing up.
We had
About
coffee,
you.
and
Really?
and Tyler said to me, he's the most positive guy I ever met. And I said, you know what? He feels like he's one of the most positive guys I've ever met, too. I'm trying to think of who's more positive than Shervin. Were you
And I meant
always
that as
that
the
way?
biggest compliment I could give, by the way.
Were you always that way? Or was there a time when you had a dark side, or were you just always this relentlessly positive guy?
If you meet my mom, I think you will see
did.
her.
I called it. He said,
I called it.
What is it about
called
your
it.
mom?
You've got to meet her someday. She
I
is
can't wait, but
so,
what is
What
it?
did I say about his mom?
You said
she
it
is
to
such a survivor. My dad, we got here with nothing, and my dad
From where?
From Iran, and so I was a child of
What is that,
war
70s,
revolution.
80s?
It was right after the Iran-Iraq War was the final time we got out here. We just had to escape, and so I saw bombs falling when I was like six years old in Iran, and so my parents got here. My dad drove a taxi, even though he had a master's and was a up and coming guy in Iran. And
Drove a taxi.
Drove a taxi in D.C. It was
That's
that
humbling
takes strength.
for a guy.
Yeah. And
But you
my
gotta do what you
mom
gotta
cleaned
do.
hotel rooms, and we pursued the American dream, and we hit the books, and
She must be so proud of you.
yeah, I really love her.
I mean, it's incredible. She cleaned hotel rooms. You sold your company for tens of millions of dollars. You never have to work ever again. Your family never has to work. She never has to work. Nobody has to worry ever.
Yeah.
And you went from living month to month, cleaning hotel rooms and driving taxis, to being the literal American dream.
The thing.
Can she even comprehend it?
Oh,
Can
she does. She's very, very happy.
Yeah.
But also the positivity you talked
Yeah.
about, that definitely comes from her, and but I think we do live. I think we're always very critical of our country in many ways.
Sure.
That's what gives us strength, though, is that America. It's such a blessing to be an American, and to appreciate
Still the
what
greatest
we have.
country.
Absolutely. And what America stands for to me is exactly that positivity. American exceptionalism is about positivity, is about staring, any challenge like World War II, like the Civil War, and saying, you know what, we're going to roll up our sleeves. We're going to, regardless of how painful it is, whatever you bring it, like you said.
Do we still have that? Do we still have it? People say we don't.
No, we have it.
People say
No.
Gen Y is apathetic and they don't want to work hard. Is it true or not?
No. Given that the jar is here, I'm going to say bullshit.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
$10.
Yeah,
We'll get that
put
PayPal
$10
from you
in there.
later.
Yeah, well, so fund it. So, but the epicness that is happening from this whole new generation of entrepreneurs that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Look, a young American built Facebook.
Right.
A young American built Twitter. These technologies are transforming the world before our eyes.
We haven't missed a step, have we?
Yeah, we need to look at what we're accomplishing and say, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is incredible. We're so self-critical.
Yeah. Where's the Chinese? Where's the global Chinese brand that's dominating the U.S. market? Which one is it? Tell me.
None.
Exactly.
So
who's the Chinese? What's the Chinese movie, pop star? I don't know, food product that we all can't consume enough of?
Right.
Zero.
So, however, I think what we do need to do is begin to be much more mindful about leading with our hearts, with the best of our American traits, and not the cynical side.
Right.
That the dark sides of, some of the things we've seen in investment banking, from things that we've seen.
People cheating, people stealing.
People cheat. That's not the American way, right? The American way is actually working hard.
Yeah, earning it.
Sacrificing. Like, those are classic.
It's a great system. You don't need to cheat.
Absolutely.
You ever cheated in your career?
Oh, no.
I never cheated in my career. Who cheats? Why do you need to cheat? The system is rigged compared to the rest of the world.
Right.
I mean, the fact that you can start a company and fail and the next day start another one and get funded seems criminal around the world.
There are a lot faster ways for you and I to make money.
Yeah.
You're from New York. You could have figured out how to make money a lot faster than we did.
Hey, but I need to go home to Christmas with my mom and have her be proud of me.
We need to do things, live the way that we believe in with the values that we believe. But I think generally that's what I believe in. And I'm actually excited about our generation beginning to take more leadership, because I think what's going on is like
Generation X
had their chance.
The boomers.
Yeah. Like
they're tired.
They're tired. They need to get out of the way.
Yeah.
It's our turn.
It's retirement time.
And I think
we got a good 20, 30 year run.
Yeah.
Ahead of us.
Yeah, we have to begin leading. We have to take more responsibility. We got to get more involved in politics. We've been heavy, heads down, like building companies.
Right.
We have to get involved in government and politics. And
but it's
leadership.
so broken. What role does an entrepreneur have to play in such a broken system? Can't we just change it from outside the system like we've been?
We have to do both. You can't.
I have to say, because I follow Shervin religiously on Twitter, is absolutely without a question my favorite person on Twitter. Like, the medium was born.
I love the fact that you're hanging out with Obama and that you're on top of this stuff. I can't deal with the government. It's too slow and broken.
I mean, they've reached out. I mean, you're going there regularly, like checking in at the White House again.
No, I know. He's whiteboarding with Obama. I hear there's a whiteboarding session.
What's going on in those meetings? Because I know they're asking you, like, what do we need to do? Right? There's got to be some of that.
No, I mean, I think the President Obama is absolutely open to new ideas, to innovation, to leading with everything that we talked about.
Yeah.
So I mean that
clearly
we all have a chance to contribute there. We just have to like put our hands up and say, hey, I care and I want to contribute. You can contribute from the outside and help. But again, I think what we need to give up on is, especially kind of the younger generation, is this idea that that the young are only there to serve the old. That government is the government of the old, and the power interests and everything else. And one thing about Silicon Valley you see is it's youthful. It's the innovation is coming from a lot. Zuck was 18 years old when he started.
Airbnb guys. The list goes on and on.
And so that's, I think, when you look at the American Revolution, even these were all pretty young guys. General Greene, who was Washington's right-hand guy, who was pivotal, was like 26 years old. So, I mean,
young people can change everything.
Yeah, and the Constitution, like, you can be president at 35, you can be a senator at 30, you can be a congressman or congresswoman at 25. But, those ages haven't been hit yet. Yeah. And, it's all these, so we need to change that mentality, and we need to get more young people involved. So hopefully some of these movements will also translate into people actually voting more, running for office, and fundamentally changing things from the ground up.
Were you too tired to start another company again? Is that why you became a VC? At a certain age, is it just too exhausting? And you just say, you know what, maybe if I'm on the other side of the table, I can do a better job, because it's just so much work to push these companies over the hill. Is it a young man's game, a young person's game?
No, not at all. No, it's not about, the motivation wasn't driven at all about being tired or anything like that. it's that you want to look at where is the leverage point of how can you have the most impact. And for me, having the opportunity to actually like invest in and fund amazing companies and entrepreneurs,
a dozen or so,
and help them, roll up my sleeves and help them in a way that because I'm more of a founder type, anyways, and I'm able to.
You're not the Harvard Business School banker wanker coming in and being a VC. You've been in the trenches guy.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm able to bond and kind of give that, perspective. And, we do a lot of brainstorming. Like, I just had the Shaker guys in. We just funded them. And there's a couple more companies that are going to be announced that I funded, through the blessing of being at Menlo. And it's an amazing team and a great heritage of 35
years. Legendary VC firm. I mean, it's old as the hills. Yeah. Literally.
So I'm really, really blessed and excited, and I think again, this is like a dream job for me.
But what about getting in the game? I mean, you've only been a VC now for under a year or something like a year.
I joined in June. I did 40 angel deals before that, but it's different.
It's too soon to say you want to get right back in the game and be a CEO, but you were a great CEO. And now you're a coach. But you were an NBA All-Star. You're like a Michael Jordan level entrepreneur. But you don't have the basketball in your hands anymore. Is that sustainable for a guy like you? Aren't you going to want to get in the court and dunk the ball?
I'm really, really happy investing in great entrepreneurs. I love it, and I think you've got. And I have a lot of energy. Like as you said, it's like I'm all. And this actually gives me. It's my passion, so it gives me more energy. So coaching incredibly and advising and helping in any way that I can an entrepreneur and backing them to reach their dreams. And hopefully transform the world for the companies that they build and the products and services that they build. That's a blessing, and that's what I've always wanted to do ultimately. So,
do you know when you're talking to that entrepreneur for the first time? Is it obvious to you, and in how many minutes, that this person is somebody you want to back? Do you have that like aha moment, or does it take you 2 or 3 meetings to get to the point at which you say, I want to invest in this person? Because you're investing in the person, not just the market and the idea, right?
Yeah, that's what I talk about. It's like when I invest in people, and people are the greatest asset class. There's no, finding these amazing entrepreneurs that you can believe in and back it's all about the people and the team.
How long does it take, though? How long does it take? It's the first conversation? What's the quickest you've known, I got to invest in this person?
Oh, you can tell pretty quickly.
What's the quickest? What was the quickest?
I mean, I think, in minutes, with the right entrepreneur, you can
first
can
conversation.
Tell that there's something. Yeah, in the first conversation, there's something special. If someone is so obsessed and possessed by their vision, and they're actually making sense, like there's a magical, a magical moment. And if if their fingers are on the pulse, and you look at their product sensibilities, you can tell very quickly. You still have to do a lot of due diligence and everything else to make sure that because you're investing, your LP's money, and you've got to invest that well over a long period of time. So that comes with a lot of responsibility. But there are things about people and entrepreneurs that you can tell very quickly. So
wow. This is an incredible conversation. I feel like we could talk for like a day. Well, we have. We've had these moments where we talked forever.
Yeah.
Story in the Wall Street Journal, too many incubators. True or not true?
I think that incubators have a place and a purpose in the ecosystem.
Which is?
I think what Paul Graham is doing, what Brad Feld is doing,
Techstars, Y Combinator.
Techstars, Y Combinator with Paul Graham. I think what they're doing, is creating this filter for excellence. I mean, this 3% acceptance rate, it's bringing in like incredibly talented people. That has a place in the ecosystem. It's not the end all and be all. It's not supposed to be. It shouldn't be. So if people think that all innovation and all of the greatest companies are going to come out of incubators, that's a false pretense. That's just not. That's not the case.
Right.
And that would be an abnormality in the system, right? If it did become the case. Facebook came out of Harvard, right?
Yeah.
It came out of a dorm room. And, Dropbox,
Twitter was a seasoned entrepreneur.
Yeah, Twitter. And then at the same time...
Path and Core came out of Facebook alum.
Right. So great startups and great companies can come out of everywhere. They can come out of...
Chicago, Groupon.
Exactly. AOL was Virginia, right?
Foursquare, New York.
Absolutely.
Tumblr, New York.
Exactly. So I'm looking at New York. I'm looking at LA. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
There are startups happening, and also worldwide. There's things happening, and so you need to be looking everywhere. You can't get kind of addicted to one flow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the incubators are catalysts, but they're not going to be the sole garden from which these incredible, companies are going to be born.
No, and they shouldn't be. And I think another purpose for incubators is more. It's the new university. It's the new college, right?
Wouldn't it have been amazing if we got to go to one? I think the reason people are down on these is because we didn't have it.
Right.
How many mistakes would you have avoided had you gone to Y Combinator or Techstars?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
How many would you have avoided? A year or 2 years worth?
Yeah, I mean, to have
maybe even your
like
whole
Paul
first
Graham
company.
and others there to be able to help, give their insights is great. To get access to the investors that come to the table is great. So I kind of, it's the new Ivy League or the new Harvard. Like YC is 3% acceptance rate. It's harder to get into than it is to get into Harvard.
Yeah.
But the purpose of Harvard at its core is to get educated, to learn, but also to network and all.
Yeah.
So those things are happening. But at the end of the day, it is, for me, it's a training process. And that entrepreneur might, they might not have a successful company come out of their crop of, what
you actually might look for the people who failed out of there.
Generation. Absolutely.
I mean, in that way, they're going to have these.
Failure is good. I mean, it makes people stronger, and if someone hasn't failed, you kind of question: have they been at the table trying long enough and hard enough?
It's the precursor to success, is it not?
Exactly.
Almost every success you've had has come after
failure.
Getting your ass kicked.
Yeah, getting your ass kicked. You got to break your nose, get up, dust yourself off, and keep going. Never give up.
There you have it, folks. Shervin Pishevar, VC with Menlo Ventures, serial entrepreneur, angel investor, amazing guest on This Week in Startups. Thank you, Tyler Crowley.
I didn't get a word in edgewise.
But what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to be
exactly.
here.
No, it's my job to get out of the way.
You have an insight? Something amazing you want to add? Wheelchair at Disneyland? What? You have a recollection of... Tell us one of your recollections of Shervin.
Okay, I'll throw something down.
Yeah.
It was not addressed head on. The first time you guys ever met,
Oil and vinegar.
I was in the room.
Oh yeah.
I will never forget it.
I savaged Shervin.
Shervin started it off,
and he got pissed.
Shervin started off with one beautiful phrase, and knowing what we know about Shervin now, you totally misread it.
Right.
He came in the room. He had we were doing the TC50 training.
I remember this well. Yes.
And he's in LA, and he comes in the office. And at that point, we're kind of expecting people to have their pitch ready to just
it's supposed to have it together.
Kind of show up.
Yeah.
You knew nothing about Shervin at the time.
He came in
Neither
totally
of us
unprepared, had no sleep.
Relative to all the other presenters.
Sure.
Came in with more or less nothing. But a willingness to brainstorm and figure it out, and a confidence that, like, don't worry, I'm going to pull this off. Right? Knowing what we know now, we would have fully given him the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely given the benefit
You
of the
did
doubt.
not give him the benefit of the doubt.
I was not. I was the hardcore.
Right. And he said you started being very like
I was pushing.
You were definitely testing him as you do to many people.
Right.
So it was definitely not personal. I've seen you do it to everybody. And then Shervin responded and said, "Jason, show some respect," and that you lost it.
Show some respect.
That was the word.
He did say
My
that.
team who was on Skype.
Yeah.
Team was on Skype.
He stood up to me.
They worked their asses off to get this robot toy.
But you said
on
it in
the
a very kind way.
Yeah,
There was no disrespect from him in saying that. You were like, Jason, come on. Like,
but I was like, hey, listen,
You were on
I
tilt.
need you guys I am, and I
But you know
always
what? That brought us closer.
very close.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, it
can
was
be
2
real
moments of
with each
great,
other.
and it was 2 moments of caring. Because you cared about your team, and I cared about you and your team's success.
Yeah.
And I always saw myself in the TechCrunch 50 equation as the guardian of the entrepreneur and their
Yeah,
team.
not looking bad on stage.
Because it would crush me to know that I let somebody on that stage fail.
When they weren't ready yet.
And when they weren't ready. And I just said, my God, I cannot let anybody go on that stage. I was obsessive about it. I still am. And boy, did you crush it. I mean, people loved what you guys, the performance you did. But you know what, we've always had a very real relationship in that way. And I think we both appreciate honesty.
Yeah.
And that's really what entrepreneurship is about. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Shervin, thank you so much for taking the time to share it and being so honest. You're always such an amazing guest. I think you're now the front runner for Guest of the Year for season 3. Hey, I don't know who the sponsor of the show was because we just started talking. It was like an ad hoc thing. But I just want to tell you, MailChimp, I love MailChimp. You love MailChimp.
Yes.
You've used MailChimp, as you told me many times. And SurveyMonkey. David Goldberg's amazing company. I use both his products all the time. I love them. Thank you so much for making this possible. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.